So welcome back to Zombie Squad Cast, and in this episode I got Tony Caporale. Did I get that right?
Yes, you did.
Caporale. Okay, so Tony and Tony's another Towson alum like myself. Some of the directing. We took the directing classes and the editing classes and the camera classes and just shooting a bunch of off the wall little film projects to try to barely make the grade. So Tony Towson, Towson alum. I'm Baltimore or Maryland.
Grew up in Maryland, actually Cumberland, 2 hours west. Went to school in Pittsburgh for about 2 years and just didn't really dig it. Like I had a brother, he was a freelance cameraman doing sports television, and I really admired the direction he was taking. And I always kind of wanted to be a part of live events. So I was like, okay, well, there's a good department. You know, I heard about EMF over at Towson, so I put the transcripts in and came on over and finished there.
Yeah. So I think I kind of remember that. And then you got into lighting, and then you pretty much just went into lighting and programming.
Yeah. I ran away with the circus. I always like to tell people, like, if I work with video crews on tour, I always tell them I'm a turncoat. Like, I used to be one of you guys, you know? So, and it's kind of funny because a lot of times when we're lighting, video guys and us, like, there's such a touch and go relationship because we're doing rock and roll lighting and it's bright and it's blowing out lenses on the camera, you know, it's driving the engineers crazy with their e-stops they have to do. So I'm very friendly towards that because I really feel like I had a friendly background coming from school here or there about like keeping in mind those sort of things. I mean, to an extent, I mean, a lot of times I have to apologize ahead of time and be like, yo, this is what the artist wants. This is the way they want to look. You know, if they want to be in a deep red, bro, like, we're just going to have to work around it because, like, red is traditionally one of the worst enemies of camera. So, you know, it's just one of those things where you got to compromise and work around it to keep the people who are paying you happy, you know? So that's the end result. But yeah, man, I finished up the old record theater down on the strip there at school. I had a little side.
Weren't you bouncing there?
Yeah, I was bouncing there.
Yeah.
The only reason I bounced is because I wanted to go see all the hippie shows there. Because like all the bands that I always loved to go see were like coming through there. So I was like, you know, I'll just go be a security guard so I get to see free music. You know.
Yeah.
But you know, and because like they already had half the rugby team and Marines in there, they did all the heavy lifting. I just had to watch tour buses out back. You know, so it wasn't too strenuous. But yeah, man, I mean, so a lot of like the passion that, you know, I had, like, I just was like, I wanted a job that just helped me have beer money at school and, you know, take care of some utilities at the, you know, pay rent, you know, all that shit. And I remember like the production manager of the music venue there, the staff I worked with was like, you know anything about lighting? I was like, I like it. I like to see it at concerts. And he's like, well, you know, we'll throw you a couple bucks if you want to do it. You know, like some bands have been asking about us just having a lighting operator. And I was like, well, yeah, I mean, I always like, you know, when we were in school, it was right when like technology was really starting to emerge more with the lighting market. We started seeing big moving light rigs and all this other stuff. So it was quite inspiring to me. So I was like, yeah, shit. I mean, I don't have to bounce or, you know, lug beer up and down the stairs for, you know, bartenders. I can go flip buttons on a light board to get paid for it. So I said, sure, let's do it. And ran into just a couple bands, and there's one that was from Arizona, and they're like, yo, do you like want to go on tour with us and like be our guy? And I'm like, bro, I got to finish college in like 2 months. Like, I mean, I was literally finishing, and these guys want me to run away from them. I'm like, are you leaving now? Like, and they're like, no, but like, we're packing up. We're getting ready to go, because I guess they had just rented a house like outside of Towson, and they'd been in town for like 2 or 3 months, but they had been planning to go back to Southwest where they're from originally. And I'm like, I graduated and I was like, I don't have anything better to do. Yeah, I'll move out, you know? So I went with them, and just 15 years later, here I am. I mean, in a short story, I just kept doing lighting and just moving up and doing that experience and, you know, just running with it, man. So.
Yeah. I, I agree with, just falling into something else where, my degrees in film and TV production, writing, directing, producing, shooting, editing. And over the course of maybe 8 or 9 years, I got into AV. And so, general AV, and kind of merged more into audio and lighting. So
Mm-hmm.
hanging lights, programming lights, bunch of up lights,
Yeah,
and then hanging lights. So hanging lights, I think that was more maybe the LD's job. I guess that would be your
mm-hmm.
job. But for
Yeah,
but for me, he would give me some simple notes, and I was doing a shitload of up lights, send them all around the room, and jump them and programming them, every other number, that sort of thing.
yeah,
But I was really trying to focus more on audio and camera. And then maybe for the past 5 years, I jumped into an emerging technology,
yeah.
live streaming those conferences and those events and concerts and what have you. And that's been my main moneymaker.
Right on.
And thank God for that, because now with this whole quarantine shut-in, we basically took the same technology and just took, instead of doing cameras, 3 cameras
Mhm.
set up at a conference, we're just taking Zoom meetings,
Yeah.
plugging it into the same software, same line.
How about Zoom, man? How about their stock? They ever since this started, they're rolling in the dough. Whoever's using it before, it's had to have just immensely just grown. You
Yeah.
know,
Hmm.
I don't even know what the number would be, but I'm sure it's damn impressive.
And well, there are some criticisms that Zoom is a Chinese company. COVID came from China,
Yeah.
and there's security issues with Zoom.
Oh
So
my gosh.
it, like some of the conspiracy theorists are out there trying to like piece the puzzles together, but I don't know. But
Enough of it. Was funny, when we were talking before we started the podcast, when we were just catching up. And remember, I was telling you about like just editing the audio on Premiere Pro, and
mm-hmm.
it, I had one of those moments like, okay, so me being the idiot that I am and just getting back into editing more recently, I'm trying to do the voiceover and the microphone was feeding back. And I'm like, well, like last time I was recording it didn't do that. It's because I hit the volume up. So the more you max out your volume, it's collecting more and it started feeding back. And I was like, are they listening? Like I didn't quite grasp, but it was just really truly the computer's microphone feeding back. I thought someone was listening to me when I started to hear a hum. I'm like, someone's in there. So it was like tripping me out for a second, man. I was like, oh my God, it's just because I have the volume cranked up. And then fixed it and went about my day feeling like an idiot. So good
Yeah.
time. Sorry to jump off the
No.
beat. It just was my experience of people listening that did happen recently in my own brain. So
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, man. And I remember the exact class. I think it was directing for the camera with Tom Brandow.
yeah,
And
Brando, he was like one of my favorites, man.
yeah, he's phenomenal. But he is like he's like your typical filmmaker, like your
Yeah,
narrative. He's your narrative. He's your basic, well, not basic, but he's your typical narrative film writer director.
yeah.
And I remember you said, blah blah blah. Now I want to get into lighting live events and concerts. So what advice do you have? And he looked at you like, I don't know what I don't do that. I don't have anything for that. This is directing for the camera, and you want to do lighting? Go do lighting.
Yeah, no doubt.
I got no fucking advice for that.
That must have been in like when the spark happened. Whenever like that must have been like
Yeah, dude.
right when I started probably helping out that band before I graduated. Yeah, because I did have him on my last semester.
Yeah.
1 second. Hey, friend.
Dad, you didn't turn the light off in the room upstairs.
Oh man, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Okay.
Go up there and
I will get it in a second. I'm talking to a friend. Okay. All right. That was my son. I did not turn a light off upstairs, so
Oh man.
I've been Zoom shamed on a podcast by my son about not turning the lights off.
You gotta save that power bill on the fun employment, man.
Oh my gosh! Hold on one second. I shut a door and I'll be right back.
Okay.
Hey, we're keeping it loose, right? But
Yeah, man.
anyways,
That's fine, dude. Yeah.
and it was funny, like you mentioned that, because we did another class. Were we in the same After Effects seminar class? Did we do that together as well?
I think so. Yeah.
There was, I forget the teacher, because I think I asked the teacher the same question. I was like obsessed with trying to find like an in and lighting in video somehow.
Mhm.
Like I guess I just wanted to be able to have my cake and eat it too.
Yeah.
I remember the teacher being like, well, you can go do it, but like you're in danger of becoming a roadie, just so you're aware. And like
So
he said that like it was such a like not cool thing. And like it's like now that I've been doing it for almost 15 years, it's like that's a very loose term depending on what you do, how you do it.
yeah.
You know, I mean, we're all roadies at the end of the day. I feel like in my industry, whether you're a designer or pushing cases, you know, we're
If
all
you
kind of our
if
own
you're
brethren. You
if
know,
you're yeah, if you're a cam op and you're bouncing from different gig as a cam op or an AC,
yeah.
you're kind of a roadie. Are you do you have your own gear as an AC or a cam op? Are you taking lenses? Are you a part of a crew like a camera department and you're
Hmm.
working with the same crew, but you go from House of Cards to Orange is the New Black to Law and Order
Hmm.
with all the same gear with the same crew. You're essentially you're a roadie in that sort of sense, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
I
I
mean,
mean,
I am. Um,
I think
before,
anything that classifies you a part of like building small cities on a daily basis, then you're a roadie,
yeah,
no matter what you do. Because it's like that's literally our job, whether it's for like a TV set that you're building and setting up for the day, or like we're setting up a bunch of scaffolding and rigging for a big light and video show. I mean,
hmm
just um, again, I think it's just the whole concept of building small cities in one day is the best way I describe the brethren, if you will. If you do
hmm
that, you're in.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So, how would you say you've been impacted? We'll start professionally. How have you been impacted professionally by this quarantine shut-in?
I mean, it was tough, man. I mean, just it was tough for me because we had a like very light schedule at the end of the year coming into the beginning of this year. I
hmm
mean, we had some stuff going on, but like no one's salaried. I guess like everyone's deal is different. Every organization you work for is different. I've been in ones where you've been annually salaried. Other ones you are paid like on a weekly basis or even in a daily basis sometimes. So, um, in this business, a lot. It's basically like you could be W-2'd under one band or whatever that you work for,
That's cool.
but your salary you're going to make is only as strong as how much you're working.
Right.
Just as much as like someone's going and being a cable page going from live event to live event. It's the same thing. So so what was happening, we were doing like all of our preparations and we just got the tour out of the door. So like we did pre-visual, like where we sit on a computer and program all the lights before we have it in front of us for real. There's really nice like high octane 3D programs that we can actually visualize the show in before we have to do it in real time. It gets a lot of the programming out of the way preliminary. Then when you get there with the artists and all the production gear and just all the creative team, all that stuff happening, then at least you have a good platform and a good base to work from. So take that, we go to this setup facility, we set up the whole rig, the whole crew's there, we're practicing the show, and then we pack it up and send it down to Miami. And then we had a couple of days with the artists just for them to get acclimated with everything. So it was a process. It was kind of like my own department moving to the whole crew together, then the crew with the artists. It kind of goes in that natural order, as you're preparing for these big arena tours. And she came down, did a few dates with us, just practicing everything, getting all the kinks worked out. And,
Oh boy.
leave Fort Lauderdale is when we started getting warnings about everything. Like, hey, people are starting to get turned away from venues. You know, things are shutting down. At one point, we were told as a tour to just not touch each other. Like, you know, it's like, we don't know how serious this thing is. We understand that it's becoming quite serious, so we want to take the precautions for the artist, you guys, everyone around you, and that is not to have any contact with each other. You know, like they want to start the social distancing, you know, within our own camp, which is, you know, absolutely 100% the right call and the smart thing to do, just for any kind of weird shit. And they pretty much had said, we're getting flights for everyone to go home. Like, our show's canceled tomorrow and whatever in front of it indefinitely until we know more. So what it turned out is that our whole North American tour, besides the dates that we completed, was to be rescheduled, which it is. I think we're due to probably reschedule later in the year. I don't know, because that's information above my pay grade, but I am aware that they're actively seeking dates to reschedule. And we also had Europe dates, Asia dates, and what else? South America dates that we'll also have to reschedule, because, you know, obviously when one thing reschedules, then everything starts to shuffle. So we're kind of standing fast for a couple things to see if we can still do them, because some things are starting to let up. I mean, the weird thing is everything that originated in China and it was locked down, now everything's open again, virtually over there. So, and we're supposed to go over there at one point. So in theory, can we go over there? Maybe, you know, so I don't know. That's up to the higher powers, I guess. And, you know, we just got to keep doing our part and what we're asked of to do as citizens, and hope for the best and get back to work. You know, that's the best way I can describe it. But, you know, having a full tour just come to a complete stop when, you know, you're dependent on, you know, a pretty hefty income from it. You know, it stinks, but you know what, like I said, everyone has their own situation, and you gotta, you know, divide and conquer however you can and do what's right for you, and especially your family. You know, you have a wife and kid, you know, so, you know, it's a time to be proactive and be positive, but just not for yourself, but for them. You know, you don't want to be getting down on your family and spreading any kind of bad negative vibes. So I've been trying to just reorganize my life and my schedule and what fits for me, and just take the proper steps to get things, you know, at least in a semi-fashionable order. You know, I mean, there's help out there for us. You know, there's really cool things going on from like Music Cares. I know that Live Nation, the promoter, is also organizing, you know, a relief fund for, you know, roadies and stuff like that. So there's people out there that want to help, which is really cool. Thank God we work with people, and especially in production business, I really feel like everyone tries to look out for each other in some sort of way. I mean, you know, any kind of help or thought to help a person's tough situation, you know, and how they're impacting this speaks more than volumes, you know?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. You know, and you're right. I think the general community, at least what I'm seeing within the U.S., is a lot of people are, for the most part, sticking together. They're really finding ways to connect even more.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and you know, like us reconnecting through a podcast, and through, you know, modern technology, and then, you know, a podcast that I want to do, and reach out to, like, you know, reconnecting with old people that I haven't talked to in a while, you know, further connecting with people that I have more recently, and get everybody on this and just share our ideas. But generally, I think, you know, I'm waving at neighbors, and neighbors seem to be more connected. Me and my neighbors seem to be more connected, even though I've never met them. But we're waving, and we're talking, and we actually want to, like, you know, get to know each other, but at 6 to 9 feet apart. And there's, I think,
start somewhere.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just had a guest on my previous guest right before right before you. She says, you know, I joined a book club and I'm doing, you know, online yoga, and these are things I didn't do before
Hmm.
because she was so busy with her job. Now she's doing a whole bunch of more stuff with this free time, but
Hmm.
connect, but it's all connecting with people, you know, Zoom dance classes, Zoom yoga, Zoom book clubs, Zoom social
Yeah.
hangouts, and all that stuff. And the wife's doing the same thing. My wife's still doing Zoom hangouts, Zoom happy hours, Zoom
Yeah.
socials. She's a teacher, so she's gonna be doing Zoom schools, Zoom teaching soon, and
And so
yeah.
we've been fun with our 6-year-old. So basically, like you have your pick twice a week. Um, it's sorry, an iMessage beeped on my thing, so my ADD kicked in. I'm like squirrel, and then looked up at the message. I apologize.
That's
Um,
all right.
now we have an option for a Zoom meeting twice a week for my 7-year-old. He's in first grade right now, and it's pretty cool. I mean, it doesn't beat obviously being at school with their friends and doing for real school, but they're giving us the resources we need. You know, the teachers, they've been very responsive in answering questions we have as parents. You know, I mean, everyone's in uncharted territories pretty much in anything that's happening. So any kind of support, you know, because for me, I'm basically homeschooling my children, doing the Zoom stuff, and you know, me as a parent, I just want to know I'm doing it right and I'm helping them thrive. You
Mm-hmm.
know, because the last thing I want is, okay, here we start second grade and there's something terribly wrong, and I'm just going to feel terrible because I will then take it upon myself to feel that I didn't have them ready. You know.
Right.
So, but it's important and it's really cool. And like you said, with the Zoom happy hours, there's a bunch of lighting designers that I would always, you know, say happy birthday to or comment on their Facebook. And there was never really like a face to face interaction. And guess what? There is now, you know, there's a bunch of those Zoom meetings happening. I do one every Friday now and talk to a bunch of those guys and meeting some new people too in the business I never really knew that are really cool, that do really amazing work. So it's been cool, man. I mean, you know, it's been opening up new avenues, and like I mentioned as well before the podcast, is just getting a new routine down. I think we all have to kind of accept the fact of that in a way, is that because of all this, it's going to teach you to do other things. I mean, and do stuff that you've kind of had on the back burner forever that you never ended up doing. Like when I get home from tour, do I want to go out and restain a child play set with my wife? You know, no, we want to chill and relax and catch up. No, what are we doing? We're actually like 6 months later, you know, restaining the child play set, but probably would have never got done, you know?
Yeah.
So just things like that, you know, you got to take appreciation for, you know, and there's weird little special cool things no matter how you look at it underneath the surface of this. And if you look for them, you can really go through this in a much more tranquil way, I feel.
Yeah. Last night, me and the wife decided, okay, we're gonna, you know, rearrange the lounge, and we're gonna, you know, split it in threes. There's gonna be a gym, there's gonna be the gaming and kind of like the entertainment part, and then there's gonna be the other side of the room is gonna be the play area for the kid. And we had this big ass couch. She's had it probably 15 years, and she's like, I want to get rid of it. And we had such a nightmare getting in with the movers. How the hell are we going to get it out now? I don't want movers coming in here. She says, you know, we can donate it to this cause or that cause. So who's going to come around here and pick it up? The movers had to go around through the woods. So I said, okay, I'll take care of it. You just go to sleep. I'll take care of it. And I literally disassembled the couch, like broke it down to just wood. So sliced up the cushions and put them in trash bags, sliced up the fabric, put that in trash bags, and then started disassembling the wood structure and the spring and put all this wood in the bins. But the wood, it's like 15 feet long pole of wood. So now that's on the deck. I got to cut that up and then, I don't know, use it as firewood or or barbecue wood or something, but we don't even have a freaking barbecue. So I don't know what I'm gonna do with this. I don't know what I'm gonna do with this wood, but like basically starting from where the couch was in that living room.
Yeah.
It went from a couch to like, I'm sure you've seen a burnt couch.
Oh yeah.
It looked like that, but not burnt. And then it was just like a skeleton of a couch. And that was my night last night. And then throw it all, so all this junk is in like specific piles on the deck, and then vacuumed, and then moved another couch and moved some other stuff, and it's like a completely different room.
Yeah.
But you know, it's just like these bizarre little projects you find yourself in.
Yeah.
Scanning everything. I hate junk, and the wife is so sentimental. She doesn't want to like throw away these cards, you know,
Yeah.
wedding cards. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I decided, you know, okay, here's a little another side project. I'll scan them all, put them
Yeah.
all into a PDF, put the PDF on a shared Google Drive, and we can both have it, you know. But the cards, scan them, they gotta go. They gotta, because she's got like shoe boxes of cards, of Hallmark cards, and it's like it's gotta go. So
Hey, before I forget, I was just thinking about this. I have a relic that I've been meaning to show you. So we can have a topic of discussion whenever I show it to you. So
is that the my book, or is that the hard drive of our projects?
that's the old one, the Beast.
Oh, the Lacey, dude. The
Yeah.
Lacey, yeah, dude.
How many headaches this thing gave us?
Yeah. Improperly, what was it? Improperly ejected. Your device was improperly ejected.
Oh my gosh! Like you had to pray that it was saved on, like on a computer in the lab.
Save. Right click. Eject. Okay. Wait for it to disappear. Wait for it to disappear. Okay, and now you can unplug it.
Like I remember we had to like plead, like they told us, you know, like don't save anything to.
Yeah, dude.
And I said, fuck it. I was still doing it. I would just hide it in like a subfolder just because.
Yeah.
Like I started seeing people's like losing their projects. I was like, hell with that, man. So if any of you professors are listening, sorry I defied you, but it's it definitely times were hard.
So I mean, I had all these little different savings accounts for all these little different things, but on the top of the list was an iMac, or back then it was the eMac. Remember the fat ones?
Yeah.
The squared, the
squared
one,
right?
Yeah, with that round back.
That's right.
And so I was saving up for that. Still couldn't pull the trigger. So finally, as a graduation present, my father gave me the remaining balance. He said, "So you're saving up for that, and how much do you need left for it?" And it was like 200. He goes, "Here's $200 for your graduation present." I was like, "Oh, great!" So finally got one after I didn't need it, but of course I needed it for, you know, all the passion projects and all the music video, all the little independent, you know, part-time gigs that I was getting. But I mean, you know, I was lucky to get a job at Discovery Channel right out of Towson. I was at Discovery for a little bit, but
they've just been sitting in my drawer in my office desk, and I always keep them there because I want to go in them one day. But I want to wait.
But see, okay, so here's my suggestion with that, because I did the same thing. I took my Lacey from college and I dumped it to a Western Digital MyBook, which is way more secure. And I think I dumped another Towson Lacey to like a Passport, you know, the smaller one, and I just dumped it all on that. But I got rid of that Lacey. That Lacey was garbage. So structurally, I mean, of course you want to keep that. You got to keep that. You got to keep the content on it. So my suggestion is find a special day. It's like dealing with that Lacey. It's like if you're gonna deal with like molten lava, right, or you're gonna do a project with like sulfuric acid, you have to be prepared. So you set that down, you plug it in, and but have your other more secure device plugged into your Mac or your PC, and then you plug that in, and it's like dealing with a very dangerous, highly volatile substance. If that's
I,
like your project, you know.
I almost want to like reuse the casing for like a friggin' like paper holder, or like, you know, like take off like one of the plates and just make it like a pencil holder or something.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm a firm believer in like nostalgic, you know, pieces of things that I've worked with in my lifetime.
Yeah.
I still have the very first like light board I ever worked off of.
Oh, that's cool.
There's probably man, I want to say at least half an inch of dust just on it, you know, but I refuse to clean it. It's like, I want that feeling of like, there's your history. This is like, you know, what you've worked for from a certain point to now. Like, I like reminders about that.
So when I was a kid, my dad was like a competitive marksman, you know, like pistol marksman and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
so like this is a coffee mug by Federal Ammo. I don't know if you like hunt or anything like that. I've
Yeah,
had
yeah.
I've had this for maybe 30 years. And now obviously, you know, it's so old and I don't even want to wash it because I don't know if that's going to deteriorate this label or something's going to fall apart. So
Sure.
obviously I'm using it for like a pencil holder, marker holder, scissor holder, obviously like that. But
Absolutely.
but you know, I must have gotten this 30 years ago. My dad was shooting at some competition. I think he won silver or gold or something at this one competition, but obviously Federal Ammo is there, you know, they got like a booth or an expo or something, and he probably won that and he gave that to me, and I've had that ever since.
There you go.
And so like I'm not like, and nothing against, you know, hunters or whatever. I'm not like a super hardcore gun guy or anything, but
Yeah.
but I am a marksman. I am in the DC. I am in the DC National Guard, so I do have to qualify, and I got to be like, you know, somewhat proficient with a weapon, and I'm pretty good with the pistol. So like, but I wouldn't be good with the pistol if I hadn't, you know, gone to like these competitions with my dad. And my dad was a cop at the time, and he showed me how to, like, you know, work a pistol and a handgun, and we went to
Mhm.
the range, every once in a while. But like, I've had this freaking mug, and there's another coffee mug I don't have here. I got it King's Dominion.
Oh, King's Dominion.
Remember King's Dominion, dude?
I went there all the time as a kid.
Bro,
It was,
they're still there.
if we didn't go to the beach, we would go to King's Dominion.
Yep.
Like, that was always a thing. Like, if we had an off year from the beach, like,
Yep.
that was a summer vacation. It was
Mm.
either there or some one place in Jersey, not near the shore. Oh man, I forget. Someone, was it Wildwood? Was that out in Jersey?
Wildwood,
Mm-hmm.
as
So,
in like not metal but wood. So
mm-hmm.
Wildwood might have been in Jersey.
Yeah.
Wild World was in Largo, Maryland.
No, it was Wildwood. It was in Jersey.
Okay.
Like, so those are like the rotation. It was either we'd go to this like beach in North Carolina,
Mm-hmm.
or it'd be Wildwood in Jersey, or we'd do Kings Dominion. Those were like, they're like basically two like one boardwalk with like a bunch of theme parks and stuff around it. You know, beach, and then another one had themes around it too. So
Yeah.
we broke it up a little bit. But man, I'll tell you, like, King's Dominion was always cool, dude. I always had like memories of that place there.
Oh yeah, I'm surprised.
You know?
It's King's Dominion is still King's Dominion. So, Wild World in Largo turned into Six Flags. No, Wild World turned into Adventure World, which then was bought out by Six Flags. It's
Yo,
yo.
I just lost you. All good.
Okay.
The King's Dominion. Where were we?
Yeah, so King's Dominion is still King's Dominion. I don't think it was bought out. So, you know, like we had when I was growing up, we had Wild World in Largo, Maryland.
Mm-hmm.
Wild World, which was then Adventure World, which was then now bought out by Six Flags, and it's Six Flags America. And I don't even know if I don't even know if that's still there, because
Yeah.
I haven't been, had an interest in like amusement parks. Now that I got a kid, I'll start looking into them maybe in 5 years. But
Yeah.
I think King's Dominion, to the best of my knowledge, is still King's Dominion, still standing, still running. But yeah, I got this coffee. I think when I was 10 or 11 or 12, I got this coffee mug from there, Justice League of America coffee mug that I still use. It's faded, but you can still see like all the characters and all the literature on it perfectly fine. It definitely looks weathered, but
Yeah. I gotta get and back in my parents' business back home in Cumberland, they have just like a bunch of old pictures framed up there. And I always remember there's one with me and my dad with Scooby at Paramount, because Scooby always used to run around there. And I can vividly remember those memories and pictures and stuff like that we still have,
Yeah, I mean, I believe in. I tried my best to be a minimalist, because having all this junk and being a hoarder is one thing, but you definitely want to have some nostalgic stuff to like pass on to the kids, or something to share with the wife and to like decorate and build a home with. But yeah, I've got my small little things, like a couple of medals that I might have won, a couple of trophies I might have won, different things like, I got this framed American flag. If you deploy, you get a flag for it, and it's like with a frame with your name and like the an inscription of like basically the mission you were on when you deployed or whatever. I've got like a few small things. It's mostly the wife stuff up there, but for me, I got a couple of things here, like an old vest and like some branding and like some like that hoodie I got from Basic, and it's things of that nature, and nothing too grandiose, and not too much junk. I just don't want junk.
Yeah, 100%.
A couple of people told me this trick, like they'll throw one thing away a day. They'll look at this thing like, I haven't touched this, I haven't used this in a year, so throw that one thing away and try to like just not be overwhelmed by junk. But
yeah, I mean, I'll get to my point. Children's clothes definitely overwhelms me to a point, because like as they grow out of it and you have it, like we kept a lot for our second child, so that really just lessened the blow of having to buy a crap load of stuff for them. It's always, the hand-me-downs are beautiful, but there's times that, like, where I look in the closet, we have too much. He can't fit into like 1 and 2 size stuff anymore. So okay, let's go ahead and let's pack that up, and let's make sure at least goes to a good cause. So we always are pretty mindful about doing Goodwill donations. It's always important just to give back to other people and use a shirt on their back, and the toys as well. It's funny nowadays, because there's just, toys are great and children love them, but they're so showered with toys. It's like sometimes they'll look at one and play with it once and it's never used again.
right.
And I feel bad because, someone went through the effort to get that for you and put thought into it. So for me as a parent, I think this is just like kind of a quality I got from my parents. It's like, you would almost, it's a courtesy to the person, and if you don't like to play with it, then you know what, our bad, we maybe should have relayed stuff you're into, to whoever's getting for it. Or, you know what, if they're getting just too much, throw some gift cards, let them go pick. We live in another day and age now where it just wasn't toys. Like, there's all this technology at our hands on how to, I guess, satisfy things that kids want, and another thing that we did more recently was, like, we asked our son, do you want to have a birthday party or do you want to go somewhere on an adventure? And he was like, they obviously want to have a birthday party. We have like a small gathering, but like a big thing you spend a lot of money on. You could take them to like, Gatlinburg for a weekend. Gatlinburg is just like a little, like, but where Dolly Parton has a theme park down by us. Like out here, it's about, I want to say it's like a little 3-4 hour drive from Nashville, I'd say. You know, a long drive. You go there for a nice weekend, and you take them out and let them have fun, and you know, do whatever they want. You know, and then essentially, when you weigh those things together, you know, you're taking them on an experience versus just showering them with toys. You know,
Right.
that's something like I really want my kids to be able to have, at least, is to have an experience. Now, am I going to neglect them from a birthday party? No, absolutely no way. I've been the worst parent in the world, but I do want them to have experiences, and if that means, you know, trying something different one year and they're into it, then 100%, you know, breaks up the monotony of things. And, you know, we always used to do a thing like on my birthdays, if we had a vacation, I could always bring a friend with me as part of like my birthday present when I was a kid, you know. So like, cause I always had my birthday's in June, so I always had a summer birthday, of course. So, you know, I always got to kind of pick a friend I got to take with me, you know, and just stuff like that. So you're not like alone either, you know, you're doing like family vacation. They're like, yeah, bring a friend, man. So I think there's just different ways to kind of like entice a kid with gifts rather than just showering them with a bunch of toys. Like toys are great, but at the same time though, like it can be so, you know, redundant that, you know, there's not a lot of interest or, you know, I guess, you know, anything that would spark any kind of like interest in from their eyes or their point of view, you know.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
And I've noticed with a lot of my friends and their kids, me and my wife, our concern is, are we just going to like put a video game, put an iPhone or iPad in this kid's hands and just
Tough
and blah blah and just keep swiping and tapping and swiping and tapping on
one.
whatever just to keep them quiet. And so I do want what they're involving in is to be at least STEAM based, you know. What is it?
Yeah.
Science, tech, engineering,
Educational, like, I mean, anything.
educational. Yeah, basically educational, or at least, you know, sensory building.
But something that's fun to them though, because
Right.
a lot of times, like I've won and I've lost that fight before, you know, like, you know, if I'm in the middle of like something really important and I just need them to chill, well, you know, my wife is an essential worker, so she's at home during the day, you know, and if there's something I got to get out the door in the office, you know, a lot of times I will like have a little Paw Patrol couch right over on the other side of my desk here. The little one sits with me and he's chill, but you know, they have those Kindle Fires for kids, and his godmother got him one recently, and they have a bunch of really good educational stuff on them that you can load up for. So I know, like, if they're on a thing, like, I know that their brain's not rotting on dumb stuff, you know, like, I want him to at least be able to, you know, have something intuitive to him that will at least not, you know, not make him dumber, but smarter, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
But he's a bright kid. I mean, honestly, the second born, like if you only have one child, right?
Yeah, we just had our first kid February 29th. Yep.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
If
Thank
you
you.
have two, you'll notice.
You got two.
Yeah, I was like, the first one always has it the toughest as they're coming up because
I was
you're
I was the first one. I was the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I was the youngest of all four of my four brothers to be exact. So, you know, you have so much more to absorb from a brother and a parent that's already done it. When it's a parent that's doing parenting for the first time or trying to, you know, break the mold. I mean, you're all learning together. So the oldest always struggles the most whenever they're getting an intake, everything.
My younger brother's a fucking genius.
Yes.
And he's the one sending me emails and texts like, dude, you need to look into this. You need to get into that. You need to look into this. Do this to like make your shit better. And he doesn't even do what the fuck I do.
Yeah.
Well, sort of. He has his master's in fine art photography.
Yeah.
But now he does like very boutique, chic, custom furniture. So he's and then he got into carpentry just to fucking get into it.
Yeah.
And me, you know, like I kind of dabble into like extracurricular stuff, but like I'm the one in the military, you know, with a decent, you know, fitness score, and he's telling me workouts like, dude, I'm just doing straight up push days, pull days, and here's a great thing. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about, dude? Because you're right. At the same time, my parents split when I was 16, so he was 12. So he was impacted by that. He was impacted by that harder than I was, where I was like, maybe it was a defense mechanism. Maybe I just kind of like shrugged it off, and I was like, oh, thank God you guys are splitting. You guys aren't going to be fighting no more. Blah 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 blah. But it really hurt. It really hurt him more. But at the same time, I think you're right. Where my parents were probably like, yo, we fucked up with this, that, and the other thing. So they didn't with my brother, and he just had, like you're saying, maybe had it easier. Maybe they made the right choice the first time around with him,
Right.
I was the learning lesson. Yeah. Absolutely.
I think it's a learning curve for everyone, because I have a really good friend. He was a programmer on the Billie Eilish tour. We just had it, and he helped me out with like a lot of design perspectives and stuff like that. Good friend of mine is like one of the first guys I ever met in Nashville, and he's having a baby in the middle of all this stuff. And I told him, like, anything you need, call me. He's like, well, I'm going to call you, man. He's like, yeah, I'm going to need some advice. I was like, a lot of times I'm just going to defer to just say, do it your way. Like a lot of times it's like, there's a lot of advice to offer a new parent, but to be completely honest, everyone's household is unique. Everyone has a certain set of circumstances. My wife works full time. I have a road job. Her mother is virtually our nanny for when I'm gone and no one's there, and, she's the pillar to make it all work. So it's really about the system you have in place to make your life work, and what works for your child and what's just efficient for everyone. And you can't be taught that through a book. You got to adapt and parent how your life works with it. That's the best advice I can give any parent, is just do what works best for your household. Like, another person's telling you how they do things, it's like, yeah, because if you're a stay-at-home mom, you don't have fucking shit to do the whole day. Of course you're going to have a lot of opinions on how people should mother their children. Right. It's just like, and I'm just broadly speaking about that. I don't think I've ever had anyone directly tell me about that, the stay-at-home mom, at least to my knowledge. But just that sort of shit where, like, people have that perspective, but they're not living the same life we are. So you have to make what's best out of your situation and make it work for you. That's the way to do it, in my opinion.
Yeah. And I think our parents didn't realize that I this is, as a parent, I try to realize my kids are not going to grow up in the same world I grew up in.
Oh yeah.
And my parents didn't realize that. And my mom, even now, is low tech. My wife's parents are high tech. They got the smartphones with the Facebook, the FaceTime, and Facebook, but FaceTime and video chat, and every day, every other day, they're jumping on the freaking the FaceTime and looking at their grandkid, because and thank God, because right now they can't come over all the time.
And they'd be heartbroken too, because they can't see their loved ones. I mean, that's tougher for elderly right now, especially with everything, because they are more vulnerable to everything happening, so it's heartbreaking in a way. Like, I mean, I know my mother-in-law and father-in-law, they're virtually heartbroken, like, because we don't live too far from them, but they might she might make an appearance, like, and drop something at the doorstep, which is kind of cool, but sometimes, like, we can't let them see her because they'll want her, and then they're all into a huge meltdown because they can't be with their nana, and it's sad, So, but man, when that day comes when you can put it all back together and it's all, the final machine again, it'll be a glorious day. I think for anyone and everything that we do, whether it's family or work. I mean, I'll probably cry when I go back to work, just because, it's going to be, I think it's going to be emotional for everyone, because, again, I keep reverting back to the thing, everyone's situation is unique in all this. There might be people, their houses got foreclosed. You know, there might be people that lost something or got divorced. You know, this is a
Yeah.
true test for married couples with all this, you know?
Oh yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of perspectives to look at. And, you know, I think it's just going to be great for everyone just to give them a big fucking hug, you know, because people are going to need it, you know, and I may need it. I may not need it. I don't know. But, you know, I think it's important for just us as humanity to be there for each other no matter what, you know.
Yeah.
We're all going through a tough time. And I think it's a good test, at least, you know. I never want to ever have this happen again, or in my even my children's lifetime. But, you know, it's just going to be a good test for humanity again. And hopefully it's not going to ever hit a reset button on us.
Yeah.
But I think there's going to be definitely a new positive outlook for a lot of human beings. And I'm hoping that that is what reciprocates amongst everyone. I'm hoping. So.
Well, yeah, like being full-time freelance, I'd say about a third of my gigs are out of state, or they were. And so when me and Melissa were dating, there'd be, hey, I'm gonna be gone for, you know, a couple days or a week, and then be back. And then, you know, we moved in. It's like, hey, I got this one gig in Connecticut, or I got this one gig in New York. I'm gone for a week, and then most of the gigs are in the DMV. And so then we got married. A couple of out-of-state gigs, New Orleans when she was pregnant. When she was pregnant, I was in Philly for a week. I was in New Orleans for a week. She couldn't fly. She was at the point she couldn't fly. To make matters worse, I took some buddies with me, because I got this, you know, hotel suite, but just for me. And so I'm like, hey dudes, come to New Orleans. And so there's that extra FOMO because she's pregnant. So then we have the kid, but we had the kid within quarantine. And well, not exactly. The second we brought the kid home,
you weren't on lockdown yet, like sick.
Yeah, like I think a week after we brought the kid home, then it was
had administered the stay-at-home order. Yeah.
So
because, I mean, being a native Marylander, even though like I don't live there anymore, all my friends, my family, I mean, I see everything that's going on in my, you know, and good for Hogan. You know, I think I'm glad he's being aggressive with it, because a lot of other states, ones I won't name, aren't really.
Well, I mean, Hogan's good. Hogan is good, but it's real easy for Maryland, Virginia, because Maryland, Virginia basically, and not to take away from Hogan and his decision process and the way he's running it, but basically Maryland, Virginia, take a look at DC. What's DC doing? That's what we're doing. Because you know, DC's super strict.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, just like, you know, especially because that's a big play, especially one they surround the nation's capital.
Oh yeah.
You know,
oh yeah. So I mean, because
one place we can't have falter to all this shit, that's for sure.
Yeah. And you know, I am getting some of these live streaming gigs working from home, some of these technical gigs working from home, you know, some voiceover work from home. But you know, there's times where if I'm on this work from home gig, I'm basically, you know, in the studio for 8 straight hours. I might have a couple of pee breaks. I might have like a lunch break. I can come upstairs and hold the kid and hang out for like maybe 30 minutes. But basically, for the sake of the grandparents, we have the grandparents come over and physically babysit, because I'm at work, you know, and the wife still might need help. So we treat it as if I'm at work. And she's still
exactly right. No,
yeah, you know,
as you should, because what you do is if you deviate from that, then I mean, I think, you know, within your own household, you have to delegate that, because if that's like, if your concentration is taken off a product and your client isn't happy, you guys are gonna be the ones that have to take the hit. So you know, just because you're not going out there in the jungle, you know, like a lot of essential workers are, you know, just in the thick of it all. You know, that doesn't exempt anyone that has a responsibility to work with their own privacy at home. It's just as important, in my opinion. You know, it's money. You know, now granted, if you can make that happen, you know, having to juggle all that at once, then, you know, more power to you. But I'm the same way. I haven't had to do it yet, just because of, lighting projects for me, I mean, I've kind of got done out of the way what I need to, barring any feedback from my artists, because essentially what I did, the first thing that I did that came to mind was like, okay, well, hypothetically, what's the first thing that could possibly resume? I should work on that and get that ready. Because going to foreign countries with our lighting rig, we're not going to be able to bring everything to, like, say, South America just for travel and cartage and all that stuff,
Right.
the way you move around down in a foreign country like that. So you have to kind of rethink a B plan that like stuff you can get locally from place to place whenever you visit country to country down there. So, there's just paperwork like that. And I talked to my bosses on a Zoom call and just like, okay, well, here's some ideas, here's what we want to keep. Here's what we obviously can't bring. What can we supplement to make it easier and fun still? So, it took up some time, and I'll be able to eventually invoice for that once it's approved. But, there's just some things that I was able. Now, again, there's times like where, it was spring break. So when I was doing it, I actually had a good amount of time to lock in because my wife was still home. She wasn't gone. And most typical days, my wife would be gone. And if I had some important work at home, my mother-in-law would keep the kids, and then I would arrange a pickup time typically. But uniquely enough, just this time around in the middle of all this crap. But typically that's what happens. But because of this, and my wife is at home over spring break, that's when she takes her she'll take a week vacation. Go anywhere. It's we still got to at least get some things done, hammer down. So
yeah, I mean, making the best of it.
That's what you got to do. I mean, and again, it's just finding things. Sorry, texting my wife. Let's speak of the devil. You'll be able to appreciate this situation a lot more if you can just keep your mind occupied. I think that's been the biggest thing for me. And I've kind of been times been like, man, like, I just want to work on my lighting control board and just do that right now. I'm like, well, take time to do something else. You've got time. I like, sometimes I get in a splutter, and I think that my life is just so used to that of being like, no, I've got to sit down and I've got to crank this out. I put that pressure on my shoulders a lot, where it's like, no, you can actually work on that tomorrow. Go do what you want to do right now, or take a video game break or something, One thing I've actually been really stoked about is they re-released Final Fantasy VII on PS4. Like, when I saw
that. Well, the remake or the re-release or something?
They remade it, but storyline's virtually the same, but they just put in some nice new side storyline, B storyline stuff, and a couple new characters. It's a beautiful looking game with modern, CGI with everything that they're doing with gaming now. So, but back then, I mean, I was in like high school. I think it was like a freshman or sophomore when I played them in high school. But I mean, I was addicted to those things. I remember locking myself in my room on snow days. Like, we had a snow day, I was jamming on that thing, putting in hours.
The guy with the big ass sword is Final Fantasy. Cloud is his name. Cloud.
That's right. That's the one, man.
So I think that was 97 or 98 or 99 or something.
99 would have been the sequel. So there was the Final Fantasy 8. Okay. And then 7 was the one before it. 7 was the one that they did the remake of that's out now.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's just so crazy because I'm like, I have to get this. And I'm like, so the thing is, those games, those type of like role playing, like fantasy games, they'll take up hours. So, if you want to kill some time, get one of those things. But I mean, it's a beautiful looking game. It's fun.
Yes. Well, speaking of the lounge that I finally, moved, resorted, rearranged and stuff like that. And I finally set up my gaming PC. And I think not last night, I think it was the night before, I finally got on, played Mass Effect Andromeda with a couple of my my online gaming buddies. And I haven't played video games in so long that my buddy said, "Hey, buy this. It's on sale. Buy it on, you know, whatever site. A major sale on this game right now." I look
Mhm.
it up and I look it up and I already own it. What the shit? I already own the game. So I sent him a text. I own the game. He goes, "Oh, that's right. I think
So
you bought that like a couple of years ago or something." I'm like, "All right."
yeah.
So I jump. So I go to my account, install it on my gaming system. I'm waiting for it to finish up. I'm like, "Hey, you guys still online?" "Yeah, we're just starting." I get on, and when I start playing the game, I'm like, this is that freaking game we played like 3 years ago. What year is this? And he goes, "Bro, all four of us, like there's the four of us that always play games together. All four of us was on. And to make matters worse, one of them could never figure out how to get his audio to work. He's the one out of the four of us who can't voice chat. And it's like, bro, is this seriously like 2012 right now?"
Mhm.
It was so trippy. It was so weird. We're playing this one game that we played, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago. His fucking mic don't work, and I still suck at the game. And they're like, they're yelling at me, "Dude, you're in the military. You should know. Take cover." And I'm laughing. I'm like 4 beers into it. We're having
No
such
grasp on like reality view on like
we're
yeah.
having the best fucking time. And you know, I should have streamed it because there was some fun. I don't think any of
It's
them.
just so funny that they're like busting your balls about the military. It's like
And it, like, yeah. And like,
it's so
"Don't you know to take cover?" And I'm like, I don't, like, right now I don't care. Like, I'm tripping balls right now
yeah.
because it's like this game that we played. I mean, it's one of those situations that you have to be in. It's one of those games we played 4 years ago. It's the same exact four of us 4 years later. And the one guy's mic, he doesn't know how to fucking get on Discord and voice chat with us. And we're and you, I can hear one of the other guys yelling at him like, "Dude, just install the app on your phone and chat with us on the phone." And I can kind of hear him because the three of us are on Discord, but one of us is talking to him on the regular, like, straight up phone, and you can kind of hear over the Discord mic the other guy screaming on speaker on the regular phone, cell phone, iPhone, like,
Yeah.
"I'm not fucking with that shit right now. Just play the game." And it's just like, dude, this is what we went through for the past 15 years, and it's still going on, even with the same game. I mean, it's just one of those trippy ass moments, man. So yeah, and you're right. I should probably, you know, put in my notes, you know, film, series, book, or video game. But yeah,
It's good time consuming.
Final Fantasy VII. So Final Fantasy VII. Is there like a is there a movie or a series or some books you've been reading to kill time?
Uh Definitely Ozark. It was great.
Ozark.
I mean, I have like a good wheel of like a couple like I am like solely like sworn to watch, you know, like those are the ones out. Ozark's great, man. Jason Bateman, if you're listening, man, big fan, genius. And I actually watched did you watch The Outsider on HBO as well? It's that Stephen King one they did.
Oh, Outsider, dude. Yeah, that's
That was another one Bateman was involved with, and he was amazing in that. I mean,
mhm,
it's just like the works he's putting out in
mhm.
recent years, man. Just I'm a big fan of his right now. Just great stuff, great
And
writing, great freaking writing. Like
where does he find the fucking time for this, dude? Because he's knocking out he's on multiple series at the same time
yeah,
with maybe a couple of movies sporadically here and there, but
he's mastered
they're
cloning.
also good.
He's mastered cloning himself. I guess that's the only thing I can think of. It's funny, like there's so many cats out there where you sit there and you're like, dude, how are they doing this? And
And speaking of cloning, he's another Hollywood vampire. Like
yeah, that's right.
him and his buddy Paul Rudd and Keanu Reeves
Yeah,
and fucking Heather Graham
yeah,
and Charlize Theron. They don't fucking age.
yeah, no
Uh,
doubt.
I just saw somebody else too that just she hasn't fucking aged.
I know I watched the other day, speaking of films, and Jason Bateman, I watched Unnecessary Roughness the other day. You remember him in that?
On that,
Had like Sinbad, Scott Bakula. They were the
Bateman was in that.
Yes, he was.
Unnecessary Roughness.
Write it down. Check it out. You'll have a good appreciation. The movie's hilarious.
No,
anyway.
I saw it.
Yeah, dude. He's the so his dad. I think he's a receiver, and his dad is like one of the boosters for the program.
Bateman's. Get the shit, because you know I'm familiar with Bateman. I know he did Teen Wolf 2. I know he was on some TV. He did Teen Wolf 2, and then popped up like 6 years later in like some dark shit, like funny but more serious dark shit. Like he totally reinvented himself. And I'm trying to think like which what it was you know before Horrible Bosses. Like he was on a roll, you know, like Horrible Bosses. The Switch.
Horrible Bosses was great.
What was the one with Ryan Reynolds where like they swapped bodies? You know what I'm talking about. And like Ryan Reynolds did softcore porn, and so then Jason Bateman had to like do the film so that he wouldn't lose these gigs or something like that.
Oh man, I have to I'll IMDb it for, and then we'll be like
that's a funny one. That's a funny one. Like the Kiss the Boy. That's what it was. So in this movie, Ryan Reynolds and Jason Bateman, they're best friends or whatever. And you know, just like with Vice Versa or like Father Like Son, like these weird movies where somehow they just switch bodies somehow. And so Ryan Reynolds' character, original Soul, was doing softcore porn. So Jason Bateman has to go and fucking do this softcore porn movie with this Russian director. Oh, and it's same-sex softcore porn. And so the Russian director just keeps saying like, kiss the boy, kiss the boy, kiss the boy. It's such a funny fucking movie. It's really funny, but unnecessary. I might have to go back and watch that shit. Wasn't Kathy Ireland the kicker in that one? That was unnecessary.
Yeah. She was a soccer player, and they converted it. They got her over to the kicker because the kicker was awful. So.
Yeah. The replacements pretty much stole that script.
Essentially, yes.
Essentially, and kind of like updated it to Pro Ball with Scabs. There was a strike.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Replacements is really fucking good movie too. Like that's like one of those. That's one of those B+ movies. That's one of those B+ movies that they just was like, we have some good names in this. Let's kick it to the theater. Because that easily could have been a straight to tape or easily a summer blockbuster. And it was such a good like summer feel good, you know, goofy comedy type of theater movie. But yeah, I got to go back and watch Unnecessary Roughness because I didn't know Bateman was in there. And I always confused The Program with Unnecessary Roughness.
Mm-hmm.
You remember The Program?
Yeah. Omar Epps. Yeah.
Omar Epps.
And yeah, dude, like it's so funny because we always made fun of like the Pittsburgh Steelers coach looks identical to Omar Epps. And they always joke around and say that Coach Tomlin looks like Omar Epps. But yeah, Program and like they spit in each other's mouths and do all that wild shit. That was a crazy movie. The 90s. Don't you miss the 90s?
That was I miss the 90s. Well, they made some good fucking movies. See, the Program is where they had to pull it from theaters because of that scene where they were laying down in the highway and dumbass kids in real life were doing it. They had to pull all prints from the theater, cut the scene out, and I think it's like almost impossible. Well, the scene is on YouTube. You can find the scene on YouTube, but I don't think it's hard to find like a cut with that or something. But
yeah, it's got to be out there that leaves now.
The 90s, man, like Swingers.
90s. Swingers.
I always talk about Swingers. Swingers.
Baby, you're so money. You don't even know it.
Baby, you're so money. See, 3 movies changed my entire career path and made me want to be a filmmaker. It was Rumble in the Bronx, Heat. Heat, Swingers, Rumble in the Bronx.
He was great because we always had that conversation about like, because Pacino and De Niro never shot
They
shot
did.
together at the same time. They did.
They did.
Like a
And
room full-
it just turned, yeah, it just turned into one of those Hollywood urban legends where fucking they just were never on set together, and like film classes used it. Towson used it as an example of how to edit. And it's like,
Yeah.
dude, they were on set together. And so I bought the Ultimate Directors exclusive, Ultimate Edition DVD of Heat. And
Yeah.
Michael Mann just straight up says in an interview, he goes, I don't know why we fucking cut it like that.
Yeah.
I should have never cut it like that.
Yeah.
But the way the flow of the scene was,
Going over the shoulder the whole time,
it was just, yeah, it was back and forth. He goes, I should have had like the two shot, the medium wide two shot way more.
Yeah, the Scorsese, like when him and Ray Liotta were, after he got in trouble, and remember like the pull out that they did there from them to the table together. I mean, that's an iconic shot of the two actors,
Yeah.
So you have one like that with Pacino and De Niro, man.
So,
I mean, that's even more intense.
So there, yeah, you can Google. There is like a behind the scenes BTS photographers.
Yeah.
Shot of them two at the diner table with Michael Mann talking to him. But
fair enough. That's funny how urban. It's funny how like those kind of rumors get like produced. Like it's only because of the way that you perceive it that way.
Right. So they were never on set together except that scene. Mm-hmm. And to the best of my memory, to the best of the way Michael Mann wanted to work it, he wanted to keep that way. And they saved the diner scene until like somewhere in the last week of production. So Pacino did all his scenes separate. De Niro did all his scenes separate. Pacino did all his scenes separate. Then they get to the diner. They wanted, because the whole crew and all the other actors, the whole crew, the producers, everybody was so amped. They were never on set together with Godfather 2.
A fever pitch, like when they got there, just be like,
you felt it.
Yeah.
So Michael Mann was like, you felt that through the celluloid, through the TV, through the screen. You felt it. You could feel our, excitement and our and our angst that these two are there, this monumentous moment, and it would come out on screen, and it did. But then people started realizing, oh, they were never there together because there's never a two shot. There's never a wide shot or a two shot of them.
Yeah.
But there was. And on the DVD, Michael Mann says, like, for some fucking reason, the way we were in the flow of editing it, we never even fucking thought about it.
Yeah.
There is a shot, but within the final cut of the film, there is a shot of them, and people are like, oh, that's CGI. And it's like, it's not. Because there's plenty behind the scenes. There's plenty.
I just thought it was a stand-in if they didn't do it. I was like, okay, well, then they just probably dressed someone up like him and just shot over his shoulder.
Yeah.
But
it wasn't. Those two sat across from each other. They doubled for themselves. They didn't have doubles. They sat there and they had that shit together.